What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. The podcast being the 3 C's with Ginge, and those 3 C's being coffee and content creation. I have, again with me, my co-host, Mr. Josh.
That's me.
Today, we are going to be talking about burnout and how it affects your content creation.
The natural follow-up after talking about support.
Yes.
This is an important one. We need to kind of talk about it because with almost anything you do in life, burnout, it's inevitable in one way or another. It affects people differently, and there's different levels of it, but burnout is absolutely inevitable. I am the master at burnout, which we'll get into later, just because of basically my career and what I do to push myself and stuff like that. But, well, it's not about me, but I will give you some examples personally that I have been through and how I have overcome and come back from it.
Yep.
But it was important to follow up our support podcast with the burnout one.
So burnout essentially is when you are just going and going and going and going. There's no breaks, there's no nothing. And then one day you're just kind of like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I have no good ideas. I suck, whatever it might be. And you kind of just stop. And unfortunately, again, like Josh said, it happens in all aspects of life, but it's so easy to happen with content creation. One person that I look up to when it comes to content creation, and I've said his name before, is Micro. And another person too, Luxie, really. Those two stick out to me big time. It just always seems like neither of them are ever stopping. And I can guarantee you every once in a while burnout happens. I know for a fact with Micro, he's been very open about it. There was one point where, he put something up on Twitter like, hey guys, I'm sorry, but, I need to take a day off and just go spend it with family, because Micro is that person that, he has a ton of different things happening. He streams, he has his podcast, he has a bunch of different series that he's doing. And so, every once in a while, I think it's only kind of a natural flow of things. You do a bunch and then your body and your brain are like, you need to stop type of thing. And so, this podcast is about that, but it's also kind of learning how to kind of curb that and kind of make sure that when the burnout does eventually happen, it doesn't kill your content or your brand.
Absolutely. Little disclaimer here too, if you're going through burnout and you're having bad thoughts or stuff like that, and you get to a dark place, we are not medical professionals.
No.
You need to seek medical help for.
Yeah, and there is free things. We can put down some resources for you below.
Absolutely. So if you find yourself in a dark place, reach out. That's why support is important. Talk to somebody. You have to talk to somebody. Yeah. But I don't want this to be a sad vibe podcast, so let's move forward. But burnout is like hitting a wall. It's like, you're going, you hit a wall, and then you just either can't figure out how to move forward, or you're tired, or even depressed a little bit, like I was just saying. Again, seek help if you need it. But it is kind of inevitable with anything that you push really hard for.
And you put yourself into.
Yeah.
Your whole heart and soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have a soul.
It's you're a ginger, so anything that you're pushing for really hard, you're gonna hit a wall eventually. It is a natural progression of things, and it's tough. It weighs on you both emotionally and physically.
Oh yeah.
It is a very, very difficult thing.
Well, I mean, think about it. I'm gonna stick with content creation because again, that's really what this is about. Now, picture your day as it goes. You wake up, maybe you work if you do. If you don't, like I'll tell you like a day in mine. I wake up, I do whatever it is that I have to do in the morning. I start streaming at about 1, and then, I stop around 6 or 7, and then I'll either hang out with my community or I'll play a video game, or if there's some content that I want to make, I'll do that content, and then I go to sleep. Now, where in that is there any time for me? Where in that is really any time for me to better myself or to take care of myself? Now, the difference is I have learned over the past 2 years with streaming how to take that time for myself, how to take a 15-minute break. You know, that's something my husband and I are very big on, is disconnecting at least every day. If we can't do it every day, you know, because sometimes things do happen, but trying to take 15 minutes of a day or longer, just completely disconnecting. That's all electronics away. People can wait. You know, that is one thing, again, that you're going to have to overcome. You're always going to have people wanting to talk to you, but the difference is people can wait. Think about back in the day. Cell phones didn't exist. You know, social media didn't exist. The only way you talked to people was by waiting for them to get home, and then you called each other on the telephone. You know, everything is so instant now, and it doesn't need to be. You are allowed to take time for yourself. And in the beginning of this, I burned out so many times. I think it was November of last year where I really faced my biggest burnout ever. I had been streaming consistently. Everything was going really good. And then I unfortunately went through some medical things. My husband was away. Like, there was so much stuff going on, and I was still trying to kind of move forward with it. And instead of taking time for myself like I should have been, I was just going and going and going. And then I hit that wall, and it took until, I don't know, January or February, I think it was, until I really got back on top of things. And in the content creation world, those 4 months that I lost are huge. Like, that took a lot out of everything. I could probably be close to partner at this point had those 4 months been dealt with accordingly and correctly. But as I like to say, you live and you grow. You live and you learn. Mistakes happen to teach you lessons. And, you know, that's why we wanted to do this, because you might be one of those people right now that is facing that, you know, maybe you haven't hit that wall, but you can see it coming at you full force. And, you know, I am going to be the person to say it is okay to take time for you. It is okay to take a step back for a couple minutes, for an hour, for a day, for a week, whatever you need it to be, and to realize that your health, mental and physical, is far more important than everything else.
For any of my gym rats out there and stuff like that, what happens when you don't take rest days? You actually end up doing more damage to yourself than anything else.
Yep.
To kind of give you guys a little more personal look at my life, I had been, but working about 7 months straight, basically just about every day. I work with my schedule, with what I do. From the time I leave work to the time I get home, it's 30 hours later. Mm-hmm. Sleep for a couple hours, no more than 3 consecutive hours straight. And then I'd be up during part of the middle of the day on my in-between days to try to spend with Scaredy and, you know, doing content creation. And then go back to sleep for a couple hours and get up, go to work for 30 hours. On and off, like for 7 months straight. Mm-hmm. And it's not like just getting up, go to work, 9 to 5. What I do requires a lot of precision and just a lot of taxing mentally. And I hadn't taken a break off. In my time in the military, I have yet to actually take leave. No. So I'd never taken leave, and I've been in for a little bit. Yeah. To the point where I've actually lost vacation days. So after a while, so summertime with my job is very, very stressful because it's very, very upbeat, very fast. But I refused to take a break for myself because I wanted to keep pushing, and I wanted to just try to keep getting better and just focus on my mission at hand, which is a big philosophy I have for my life, is just mission at hand, mission at hand, mission at hand. That's what takes up everything. And I didn't see what it was doing to myself personally, my marriage, and even our business. It all suffered because of not me being selfish, but just how hard I was pushing, and I wasn't taking a break to let myself recuperate, to recover, or just to take a step back from everything. And it culminated. There it is. Culminated a couple weeks ago. and me not living up to something I needed to live up to. And that was disastrous in my mind. And I was forced to take some time off, which is fine. And it was good. It's been actually the greatest thing. And now that I have some perspective on it and realizing that I could have avoided all of this, just like Scaredy could have last year, had you kind of seen it coming, had I used my support system a little bit better and listened to people. So burnout is definitely a huge side effect, especially if you're more of a perfectionist like me, where you are just pushing so hard and you have all these standards that you're trying to live up to. But had I just taken a break, taken a step back, disconnected, and just done some more for myself, it wouldn't have been so difficult recently. No, there's always going to be stressors in life and stuff like that, and especially with some of the stuff we have coming up in our life. There's a lot of changes happening here soon, and I wasn't able to really be a part of them because I was just so focused and pushing so hard, and it affected everything.
And, again, there's nothing wrong with pushing, and there's nothing wrong with wanting perfection. There's nothing wrong with, just continuously going, but you have to be real with yourself. If you notice that streaming or content creation or work or life in general is just becoming something that you don't enjoy, that is when it's time to take a step back, take a break, give yourself a breather, and really reevaluate things. Because you know what? Maybe you're changing. Maybe your thought processes are changing. Maybe content creation isn't something that you like to do after all, and that's okay. But you have to be real with yourself, because what ends up happening, and this is what happened with me at my job, I love cars, I love selling cars, I love sales, and that's because I love people. But there were a lot of things in there that I didn't agree with. There were a lot of things that I didn't like. And it got to a point where I was coming home every day in tears. I was having and it was putting a huge strain on our marriage, because I was just coming home and dumping bullshit onto Josh just 24/7. And that was hurting our marriage. It was hurting our son, everything in that sense. But and it was one night we went to the Silver Diner. If you're from the DC area, you probably know what that is. And we talked, and he's like, look, what do you need in life to be successful? And I will always remember that question, because for me, it's not about what do I need to be comfortable? What do I need to be happy? It's about what do I need to be successful? Because with success comes happiness and comfortability. And that's not saying that it's always going to be successful or comfortable or happy or any of that, but success is to happiness as, everything else, and it all helps each other. And when he asked me that question, the first thing that popped into my head, honestly, was freedom. Because I'm a creative person. Hey, all of my creative folks out there, you know what it is. When you are kind of held down by other people's expectations and wants and, all of that, what ends up happening is that creative side of you gets just pushed down further and further and further. And so my content creation couldn't be what it was supposed to be to me. And, I was dealing with essentially being oppressed at work, and not like being a female or anything like that, but just as it is, when you work under anybody else, that's just how it kind of goes. And so, I was facing burnout at work, which was essentially causing burnout with my content creation and my family. And so when we sat down and we had that conversation and he asked me that specific question, it just really became, kind of clear to me that I needed a place where I could be me and be free to be me and to do the things that I wanted to do. And then a few months later, I faced burnout, because when I had that freedom from not working anymore, I literally I went so hard with it, instead of realizing that my mental health wasn't doing so good at all, and neither was my physical. And so we took that step back, and then 4 months later I got back to it. But I think what you have to do is you just have to be aware. You have to be aware of the signs, and they're different for everybody, but being real with yourself and understanding that it's normal and it's not necessarily unhealthy, but it's not, it's also not healthy. Like, you just got to kind of find where your spots are and how to deal with them and how to be proactive instead of reactive.
That was really good. No, that's very similar to what I went through. I guess the best way I could equate it was like holding my breath and holding my breath and holding my breath. And when I finally got to take a break, it was just a giant breath of fresh air. Because when you take that break, the only way that break works is if you truly, truly disconnect. You have to truly step back. So if you're burnt out in content creation, because that's what we're mainly focused on, truly step back, truly, if you have moderators for your community and stuff like that, let them, work with them, but see if they can run things for a while. Maybe you need a day, maybe you need a week, whatever it might be, but you have to truly step away, which will give you some perspective, but it's like taking a breath of fresh air.
Yep.
What it was for a long time, how I keep saying, it's like just run into a wall. Well, the thing is, I'm a little stubborn, and it's like, so I hit that wall, and then I kept trying to push through it, and I kept trying to push through it, and I kept trying to push for months, months and months and months. I kept trying to push through it, and it was just doing more damage than good. But had I been able to take a step back, I literally have this picture in my head of just a wall and me banging my head against it. If I had just taken a step back, I could have taken a step back and walked around the wall instead of trying to push through it.
Yep. Or climbed over it, or whatever it is.
Whatever it might be, just to kind of give you some sort of metaphor.
And actually, there was, at one time, I used to see this amazing counselor. She believed in kind of, physically seeing problems in your mind, because thoughts are that. Thoughts are just thoughts. And, we have millions of them all day, every day. Some of them are persistent. Some of them are just fleeting, whatever it is. But, one thing she really put into perspective for me was every time you have an issue or something that is causing you mental pain or physical pain or whatever it is, physically see it in your mind and see yourself, again, getting around it or going over it. Because at the end of the day, the only thing holding yourself back is yourself. And that's not to say, again, I'm not a medical professional. I don't, and we all have different things, physically, mentally, whatever. But when you can kind of see that your thoughts are just that, thoughts, you can kind of start to move forward. That burnout can kind of start to turn slowly into, it's fizzling out. Things are good. We now have this thing where every 1 to 2 months, I take a few consecutive days off from content creation. And, those days are for me, or us, or whatever it is that we're doing. So that way I can still connect to the things that I love to do, like hiking or crocheting or anything like that. And that helps me get out of my head, and it helps me, be happy and content with my life as it is, because I can take a look at everything and be like, wow, yeah, I've been working my ass off. And yeah, maybe, if I kept going, I probably would have faced burnout, but damn, am I doing an awesome job. And you can't see that when you're right in it.
The perspective is really, honestly, what helps you come over burnout. If you kind of look at the silver lining of everything we're saying, it's you have to give yourself some perspective.
Yep.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter what other people tell you. It doesn't work until you see the other perspectives. Yep. Just sometimes you just have to take a break. And I am all about working hard, working down to the bare bone kind of deal. But sometimes you really have to take a break. The flip side of that, though, is if you're not going through burnout, you don't necessarily need to take a break. No. But if you're seeing symptoms of burnout, stuff, increased stress, anxiety, not sleeping well, stuff like that. If you realize you're getting very unhealthy, then those are signs that burnout it's coming.
And it might just be as simple as doing what we do, 15 minutes a day, disconnecting, or simply taking a day. You don't have to stream every single day for 12 hours. And I see people doing that all the time. And, maybe during like a competition or something like that, whatever. But God, that kills me because, and that's just streaming. And again, we all know streaming is one tiny bit of it. Or, YouTube or whatever it is. There's so much other stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So now you're streaming 12 hours a day. And then there's all the other stuff that you're doing before and after that. So realistically, all of that time, where are you? Like, where do you come into all of that, And I'm not saying that you shouldn't stream how you want to, but what I'm trying to say is be realistic with yourself. Is streaming 12 hours a day every single day really helping you? Or could you maybe cut those hours back a little bit and put more into that, and then give yourself an hour or two afterwards to come down and, disconnect from things, just to be healthy with it. Get up and move around, Yeah. Drink water, stay hydrated.
Yeah, no, it's good points.
Yeah.
But and the thing is too, if for whatever reason you can't take a physical break, let's say maybe you do freelancing work, not just content creation. Yep. That's understandable. Maybe working on some different content might be the way to go. Yep. So if you are maybe you only really YouTube, maybe you just work on some more live stream type stuff. Yep. Or whatever it might be. Just to give you an example, sticking with content creation, maybe just working on something else will really give you that different perspective. We just talk about taking a physical break because we know that's what works for us. We need a physical break and to physically move, to get out of the house, to go outside, reconnect with nature, or go to the gym and listen to angry music, whatever it might be. But we know works for us. But for you, maybe it's just working on a different project, try something different. But you have to give yourself different perspective. That is what is going to get you through this burnout, instead of you just slamming down your keyboard and then just saying, I'm done with all this. Yeah. There's a lot of people that quit that way, and you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt in a couple months. Yeah. What I was talking about work, I almost did that. I almost walked away from something that I had been working on for almost 4 years. Yeah. 4 years I've been putting into something to achieve this goal, and I almost just walked away from it all. And I know in 6 months from when I wanted to walk away, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. The whole, the what ifs will kill you. And
I remember saying that too. Like, is that something that you are willing to regret? And
at the time I said yes, but it's because I didn't have perspective.
Exactly.
Because I didn't just take a step back and realize, I still have my whole life ahead of me, and just because I didn't meet some certain standard doesn't mean I can't go back and try it again. Yeah. So. The perspective helped me pull my head out of my butt, take a breath of fresh air, and then just get back to it. Yeah. And that's all I needed. And now I'm almost a different person in a lot of ways. Yeah. Because now I'm sleeping good again. Yeah. I'm being healthy and stuff like that, which is all stuff that I have to maintain, especially being a soldier and stuff like that. Yeah,
but simply just being a human being.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. You just have to. The better I make myself, the better I'm able to make Scaredy and everything else works. So.
So, I mean, after everything is said and done, burnout is inevitable. But if you have that support system and you can take a step back and realize when things are not that great for you, I think that's when you can start to see, okay, you know what? Maybe once a month I need to take 2 or 3 days off, or every day I need to disconnect for this amount of time, or maybe that book that I've been wanting to write, for years, I can take some time out and start working on that. Because while content creation might be something you love, I'm sure it's not the only thing in your life that you love to do. And so your disconnection might not be just fully disconnecting and going for a hike. Maybe it's just simply disconnecting from the content creation aspect of it and connecting to another thing that you love to do, so.
Or reconnecting.
Yeah. So, I mean, for this, again, building that support system, recognizing your signs for burnout. And again, if you are having any thoughts of, hurting yourself or harming others or giving up on things or anything like that, again, please seek professional help. We are not here, as counselors or anything like that. But I would hate to see anybody throw away their life for something that, and this may sound weird, for something so minuscule that you can literally, if you go and you talk or whatever it is that you do, you can get over it, because that wall, it's not going to go on forever. You will be able to get around it, but sometimes you need to take a step back and you need somebody from the outside. You need that outside perspective to help you get around it or over it or through it, whatever, ends up, whatever. But again, just remember, this isn't it. Your burnout if you're at that point right now, it's going to end at some point, but you have to be the proactive one with it. If you've never hit burnout, that's awesome. You know, that means maybe you're doing things good for yourself and you already know how to kind of keep that from happening. But again, just be realistic with yourself.
Yep. And this isn't a plug for our community in any sort of negative way. Of course, we're going to plug community and stuff like that, but I want you guys to understand that, again, I know we started with it. We said it about support in the support one. I'm going to say it again. Join our Discord, join our community, reach out. If you find yourself in burnout and you just maybe need to turn to us or, a stranger or maybe someone you built a relationship with, but reach out to us. You can message us at any time. I can't promise we'll get back to you right away, but if you reach out to, I'll speak for myself. If you reach out to me, I will message you back. Yep. Actually, we have a whole thing in the Discord, we call the Josh Chronicles and stuff like that.
When he gets back to that.
Yeah. It's a bunch of support stuff I had written and stuff like that. Just about either self-improvement, but it's a lot of stuff. But I will, if you are in a tough situation, reach out to me. I will be there for you.
So with that, I guess that will be the end of episode 6. Can you believe that?
You've not plugged one single number, and then all of a sudden you hit episode 6 and want to put a number.
Because 6 is a cool number. Oh my goodness. If you guys could see the way he was looking at me right now. This is burnout in my life in this moment. I'm just kidding. But anyway, this has been the 6th episode for, talking about burnout and such. If you have liked the episode, again, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. If you have any advice on this or have gone through it yourself or would like to give feedback, as usual, we are 100% open to it. My DMs are always open in Discord. You can find me on Twitter at ScaredyGinge, and then on Twitch, I'm also on there as ScaredyGinge. And we would just like to kind of, hear from you and hear your thoughts. Yeah.
Let's talk. I know I don't ever say anything during the outro, but let's talk. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's communicate.
Talking is great. So anyway, guys, we will see you on the next episode. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.